morning, my friends, and welcome to the Right Away After Party. We are so excited to be here with you. And, of course, you know I'm Cath. You know I'm Nic. And we're doing something a little unusual today. Bear with us. Stay with us, because we have invited a guest into our Tuesday episode. Usually, every single time, Tuesdays is all about Nic and Cath and process and writing. Today, we have an extraordinary guest with us, an extraordinary topic to cover. So before we jump in and reintroduce you, because you've seen her before, it's the lovely Tori Allbright. Nic is going to tell us a little something.
Yes. Okay. So, hi, friends. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We absolutely love what we do, and we're about to show you how much we love what we do. And we just love to share it with you. So please share it with others. And if you laugh along, send that laugh along too. And we want to become a community. So come be a community with us. Okay. And leave a comment if you want to. We would love to see your comments. Okay. Back to the show.
Welcome, Tori.
Welcome, Tori. Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
You're very welcome. You know what?
Go ahead, jump in.
No, you've got the question, but I just wanted to say thank you for being willing to come on. Thank you for being game to be our first ever interviewee. It's not really an interviewee because we're just going to have a conversation like we do, Nic and I, on Tuesdays. So welcome to our conversation. This is going to be raw. There will be no clipping. So if there are tears are welcome here. If there's laughter's welcome here.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I think that's something to note to our audience and to our, even our guests that never know this, but our Tuesdays are raw. They are completely, when we say it's the after party, we're not joking. Like Cath and I usually have a meeting prior, and then we just get the thing rolling and we just literally just go. And a lot of times it's about something that we're dealing with in our real writing life. And so that's why we thought this would be so poignant to have you on, because this is something you're dealing with right now. And that was why we literally wanted to have you on today. We tried having you on last week, actually. But I think today worked out perfect because we're all in a great space to have this conversation. And so we're just going to jump into it, Tori. You were Tori Kelley, Dr. Tori Kelley.
Yes, formerly known as Tori Kelley, like the artist Prince.
and you were submitting manuscripts under that name. And then I don't know why, but this is why we're having this conversation. I really am interested in knowing why you have decided to go under a pen name, and it has caused some disruption. And so let's talk about that.
What happened?
Yeah.
This is new. It's fresh.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would say that the majority of the reason why I've made this change from Tori Kelley to Tori Allbright is because I'm an author. I write, but I'm also a musician and a visual artist. And so everything that I was doing creatively, especially music, was getting buried under Tori Kelley, the famous Grammy winner, Sing elephant voice of the character on Sing. Everything was getting buried under Tori Kelley, Kelley. And even though my name was spelled Kelley with two E's, it didn't matter because the algorithm was shoving all of my creative things over to her space. So,
how did that feel for you when what made you notice that?
Well, every single time I'd meet someone and we'd have a really heart-to-heart conversation, because I'm not about small talk at all. I want to get right into the nitty-gritty. I'm not interested about the weather. I want to know about you. I want to know, how you're doing, for real, and not just fine, but I want to have real conversations with people and connect. And so we would connect, and then I would say, well, I wrote a song about that, and it's called, and I would, whatever I've got, I don't know, over a dozen songs now. So I would say, oh, you should listen to Press Against the Storm. It's all about, getting through hard times and how you can't have rainbows without rain. And so they'd be like, oh yeah, I want to hear that song. And so I'd be, okay, well, let's look it up. And then they'd put in Tori or Tori Kelley, and the other Tori Kelley would come up. So they couldn't even find my song. It was like it was almost as if I didn't exist. And, as a child who comes from, I come from an abusive background where I really was an object. I really didn't matter. And I really was, well, I was definitely not seen. I was only there to please others in all kinds of ways that no child should ever have to do. And it sort of kept pushing that button. It kept replaying a little bit of, you don't matter. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares who you are. Nobody cares about you. Yeah, really worthless, helpless. Oh, helpless, powerless. Like, I'm working my butt off. I'm practicing. I learned a new instrument in my mid 40s. I learned a new instrument, the guitar, and I've been doing voice lessons after, when I was a child, I loved singing as a child. And my mom would say, "Oh God, Tori, stop. You're hurting my ears. It's not my fault I have perfect pitch."
Oh
so
my.
It's a really, yes, it's
whoa,
a little,
whoa.
we're talking 3-4 years old being told, "Stop singing. You're hurt." Like, so now I get this message that my voice is hurting your ears. So when bad things happened to me, of course I didn't say a word because I didn't want to hurt anybody, further than I'd already caused harm. And when you're little, of course, these are ridiculous messages. We're thinking and listening to my words right now as grown-ups going, "What? That's nuts." Obviously. But when you're little, whatever your parents say to you is like the word of God. You might as well be reading the Bible, the Quran, because it's like, it's scripture. If your parents say you can't sing, or your voice hurts your ears, or your sister is the artist, not you, you're the brain, you're the one who's going to go be a doctor. That was another story. I came home from middle school. They did a career inventory test on us. It said I could be 3 things: a kindergarten teacher, a psychologist, or an artist. And I was so excited. I was like, "Look, Mom, I'm going to be an artist." And she was like, "Let me see that." And she saw psychologist. She goes, "No, you're going to be a doctor, and then you can take care of me." And then she was like, "That way you can buy me a Corvette and a nice house," and all this stuff that I was going to have to buy her. And it was just squashed right away. "No, you're not."
Nic, does that feel very close to home for you?
Yeah. So Tori and I have had many conversations about what that feels like, to feel owned and not raised, and to not have identity in the family, to really be of someone's graces. Instead of being loved, you're not loved. You are looked upon as an extension of them, and everything you do is they were owners of that. Everything you produce, they're owners of that. And yes. It just becomes very, very hard to live under those kind of circumstances. And that
you're a mistake.
Yeah. Oh. Well, you weren't a mistake.
Well, no, I never felt like a mistake. I was my mother's best friend. And like Nic just said, I was an extension of her. So we had to have the same opinions. If I had a different opinion, my mom would go round and round with me. I'm right. I'm right. Until I would finally say, "You're right." And no matter what I had going on in my head, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
it had to be.
It's like
her way or the highway.
My daughter. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And it was like, as a mother, because I'm a mother now, I'm a mother of 2, and there's that unconditional love that you're supposed to provide for them. And I didn't get that. Love was very conditional. It was, you're going to get love from me by bringing home A's, and by winning pageants, or by winning contests, or just by being amazing and having people tell me how amazing you are, because that means I'm amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's a really hard shadow to grow up under. It's the reason why I had to separate from my family. I think it's probably been 10 years now that I've had no contact. I just was feeling, every time they'd visit or come over, I would get physically sick. And I was collecting diagnoses. I swear, it was like some people collect stamps or Matchbox cars. I was collecting diagnoses. I had narcolepsy at one point. I had IBS. I had all kinds of horrible things that were keeping me from functioning. I was becoming very dysfunctional. And it wasn't until I was having lunch with a friend of mine, and she told me her mother had just been diagnosed with cancer. And that hit me on a personal level. I thought, oh my God, if you keep going in this path, that's going to be you. Like, your body is just going to kill itself, basically, to remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah, I have a question for you right there. You made an incredibly hard decision because the balance is tipped, obviously, but when you make the decision to create a boundary,
Mm-hmm.
the boundary is for yourself.
That's right. It's for
And
yourself.
you
Yes.
cannot care, when you make a boundary, you cannot care what the other party thinks about your boundary. But I
Well,
bet they had a
you
voice.
can say that, but we're human, right? We're not robots. So of course I care. To this day, I hate that I can't have a relationship with my parents. Like, I hate it. I would love for us to have a loving relationship. It would mean
There's
everything
the
to me.
secret. A loving
Yes, a
relationship.
loving relationship, but they are not capable. They are not capable. And I spent years and years and years, like I actually did go and get a PhD, and I did, open Central Florida Mental Health, and I learned all the things that you need to learn to help people live their healthiest lives. And I was able to change lots of people, including myself, which I am very grateful for, that I have that, education behind me and that experience. But at the end of the day, I could not change my family and my family of origin. And so at a certain point, after putting all kinds of practices in place to make the relationship work and to protect myself, and okay, well, you know what? Let's not have them come over. Let's meet at a restaurant so you can choose when you leave. Like, you have an out. You're at a restaurant. It's a public place. So I would do things like that. And I had all of these coping skills to have a relationship with them and to maintain it. And after a while, like I said, it just got to a point where it's unsustainable. It was completely toxic, always about them. There was always negativity. It was just horrible. And now I have little ones, and they're hearing these messages about, I'm not even going to repeat them, but just horrible messages of things that my parents, racism and just all kinds of horrible, intolerant statements made in front of my toddlers at this point. And I was like, Mom, you can't say that. Like, look, they're right here. Can you stop? And then it would just go from one bad conversation to another. And I knew the last day that I saw my mom, I knew it was going to be the last day. And I gave her a big hug and a kiss. And I said, I love you. And she didn't know I was saying goodbye forever, but like, I knew. And oh, we got to the tissue part of this real fast, didn't we? Oh my God. But I told her goodbye, and I did the same thing with my dad. I had him over, and I wanted to give him a chance because I thought maybe this is salvageable. And I asked him a question that I needed to be asked, and it was, how could you not know what was happening to me? And I don't want to talk about it, but in our own house. And he said he just didn't know. And then, instead of being genuinely sorry, excuses, there were excuses and defensiveness. And I realized that he was never going to be a father who would protect me or who would love me beside himself. Like it would always be a selfish act, me being his daughter, that I would never be. He'd never once called me to say, how are you? Yeah. Ever. Yeah. And I just don't think that that's a hard thing to do. But for him, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So that was a goodbye.
10 years ago, you did that, and you've stuck to your resolution.
I have. Yes, I have.
So smart and brave, because you have to choose that every day.
Every day. It is. That's true. And I appreciate you bringing that up. It's to
love yourself. You chose to love yourself over the toxic, I'm taking your words, over the toxicity of that relationship, even though you were blood bound to them.
Yeah, and family, and here's the juxtaposition. I mean, family is so important to me. It's everything to me. And saying those words, even now, like, I sound like a liar. Like, well, you don't have your parents in your life, and it's just, but it was not possible any longer for me to continue to live and have a relationship with them.
There's a word
My
for
body
that.
was literally shutting down.
There's a word for that.
Yes,
Unsustainable. We're all
it was
wordsmiths in these
unsustainable.
conversations.
It was absolutely unsustainable. And I even tried to have a funeral. I called a few
Wow.
funeral homes, and I asked I would like to have a memorial. And they were answering my questions until we got to the fact that there were no bodies. There was no body to put in a box. And then the conversation was like shut down immediately. And I felt like such a weirdo, like I'm this freak trying to have a memorial service for
Yeah.
two people who are actually still alive. And, at the end of the day, of course, the service was not for them, it was for me. It was for me. I wanted my friends and family to come be around me and to support me in this decision, is really what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so in the end, I had to settle for, I lit a candle on the beach. I had just closed my practice at the time, not shortly. I had all this office furniture, is all I'm trying to say. And so I took two of my office chairs and I pushed them out onto the sand of the beach, and I said my last words to each chair. And then I lit the candle and I said goodbye. And then my husband got rid of the chairs. He's my hero. I don't know what he did with them, but they were gone.
Yeah. And
Buried
there's
them,
a
put them on
word.
the side of the
There's
road,
also
whatever.
a word for that. You needed closure.
Yeah.
I needed closure.
You
I
needed
did. I
closure.
needed
We all
closure.
do.
Yes.
And Tori,
Yes.
again, I just have to say, it's so brave because so many times we don't realize, right, Nick? We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
understand that we need to come full circle, however painful it is, but come full circle so that that can allow us to move forward.
Yeah, I think coming back to and looking at the time frame and everything that's happened in your life, and our lives are so parallel in a lot of ways, and that too
Mm,
is if you look at it, Tori, it's like both of us have been at this game of writing for so long,
So long. Yeah.
and it wasn't until recently that both of us have decided that we're worth it, that we're worth getting into the publishing game, that we're worth getting an agent, that we're worth having a voice. And I'm going to start crying in a second because i I know that, I go by NC Murphy. I've always gone by NC Murphy in my writing, and my agent put me as NC Murphy in the agency. When I went to look up my name in the agency, I couldn't find it. And I was like, is this a scam? Like, was I scammed? Like, am I not part of the night agency? And then I literally had a breakdown because I was looking, and there under Murphy was my name, not Nicole Cabrera. It's under NC Murphy. And I like immediately called him and started crying. And I was like,
Aw.
thank you so much for honoring that. Cause we never discussed that. And
Oh,
my contract,
yeah.
my contract isn't Nicole Cabrera, but I mean, and Cath put me the first time ever, ever, ever that I've been in the acknowledgments under NC Murphy. She put me as NC Murphy. I've always been in the acknowledgments of people's books as Nicole Cabrera, the critique person. And she put me as
Yes.
Murphy. And I don't know if I've ever said that to you, Cath, but
oh,
that meant so much to me because in
mm,
this world, that's who I am. And that is my ownership is, is I'm NC Murphy. I am, Nicole was always a very hard name for me because I could hear, my mom going, Nicole Marie, Nicole Marie. It was just like,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like a barrage of my name. And I
mm.
Right.
always used to think about changing my first name, but I've always loved the name Nicole too. And my husband calls me Nikki, and I can't imagine never being called Nikki by him.
Yeah.
And so I knew that wasn't going to be, but my husband and I came up with NC Murphy, and I write Murphy because of my grandma. And I'm actually the age that she died now this year. And
Oh, wow.
I'm just honoring her as much as I possibly can. But I wanted to know, let's dive into Tori Allbright now, because
Okay.
we heard the background, and your background's very similar to mine, and being of your own ownership is so important.
Mm-hmm.
But there had been, I know that you are talking about this in the sense of like, marketing and everything, but there had been something else other than just the marketing. There had been something that you like I know for me, it was just about putting that stamp that this is who I am in this place of
Yeah.
time.
Do you know
And
mine was backwards. I started off writing under my nickname, my pen name. So I have a little book of poetry and it's Noonie
Oh,
Brown.
Noonie Brown. I love
Noonie
that.
Brown. And it was my mother's illustrations before she stopped illustrating anymore, before she stopped understanding what the world was. And I just wanted this little book for her. So I thought, well, I'll just do it under my nickname. And then I wrote a
Smart.
further book, also under Noonie Brown. And I realized that I was doing it because I didn't believe I really would be a writer, I really could be a writer, I really was a writer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And when I
Yeah.
owned it, when I finally owned it, I came back to my own name. But I know, Tori, yours is kind of backwards.
It's really convoluted. I can't even give you a to B to C.
Yeah.
It's like X and then Y and then R and there's an M in there somewhere and O. It's just okay, so let's see. My maiden name is Italian, and while I love it, nobody can pronounce it. Nobody can spell it. I would get called Tori Tetrazzini, and I'm like, I'm not a food dish. Tori Terrazzo. I'm like, there's no O. There's no O in there. Like people would just make up letters. So it was a stopping point for me to enter the world. It was like people would see that name and they would just turn the other way basically. And I mean we've all witnessed the microaggression of having a last unpronounceable name from some ethnic place, and then
Mhm.
people are like, I'm not even gonna try, and you're like, try, like at least try. I mean, okay, you might botch it, but if I know you're trying, that means you care, like, give a crap. But don't just not try and not anyway. So I knew that as far as for everything that I want to do, I'm an ambitious person. Okay, I feel like I am, and I'm willing to admit that I have been through a whole lot. And for me, I feel that if all of that pain and suffering can be for some good, if it can be for some reason that helps someone else, maybe you hear a song that I sing and it lightens you, or it helps you think differently and helps you love yourself more, or maybe you see something that I draw or paint and you it makes you smile, or you read a story of mine and it changes your life, like then I won't feel like all of that was for nothing. Do you know? I mean,
Mhm.
right now it wasn't for nothing, even without any of the things I mentioned. The truth is, it's made me really, really strong. I definitely feel like you could throw anything at me, and while I might hate it and feel a whole lot of pain, I will survive. Just like Gloria Gaynor sang, I will survive. So for that, I am grateful. And even the whole part, and we do need to circle back to the PhD, because while I did go and get the highest education you can get, I, for a long time, did not feel happy or proud of it. It was actually a huge source of contention. I didn't want to be Dr. Kelley. I always had this artist inside of me, this expressive, connection seeking person who felt invisible. And so that was a big, big driving force in a lot of my disgruntled feelings as doctor anything. And so now I'm at a place where I actually feel like my mom did do me a favor by sending me off to get a doctorate, because I have never had to be a starving artist. And I'm not saying that that's what every artist goes through. A lot of artists are very successful. And sure, maybe I could have been very successful, but we'll never know, right? So I have to just deal with what I have and make the best of what I have. And the fact is, at least I had a good degree that I could fall back on.
Well,
Um,
tell us how Albright came to be.
sure. Okay.
Because
So,
we've uh heard all the
sure.
bits and now we want to find how
Yeah.
did you do this?
And I just have to say, we'll never hurdle all of the bits.
Well, no,
in
of
my
course
life,
not. We can't.
because there
We
are
have
too
to,
many bits. But sure. So
yeah.
moving, it's fine. It's fine. So Allbright came up because I have two. So at that moment, I had 2 albums out in the world, and I have 2 new singles that I'm working on getting back in the studio and recording. And I thought to myself, I'm going to record these 2 new songs, which are really great. Like, I really love these songs. They're fun, and they're just, I don't know, they just fill me with so much joy.
The name.
So the first song is I'll Be Better When I'm Older, because, okay, so a big part of this is, and thank you, I definitely need to be kept on. I have to be managed. I turned 50 this year.
Okay.
And I did not want to be 50. 50 sounds so old. And I couldn't believe, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience. I'm not here to insult anyone who is over 50. But from me, I can only speak to my experience, and that's it. It felt really old, and I was like, this is not possible. I cannot be 50. Like, just no, I don't want it.
I'm just gonna jump in there for a second, Tori, because I do want to defend that, because honestly, like, I just turned 54, and it was really hard for me. And I know that, again, like, there's a lot of people that are older than me, and I get that. But for me, it was more about the milestones I had already kind of anticipated for myself, or where I'd be at 54. And because I don't have a book sold yet, and because I don't, there was milestones that I kind of wanted to reach at certain points in my life.
Right.
And I'm trying to find grace and be okay with where I'm actually at. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really incredibly brave of both of us to say that, because I don't think a lot of people are willing to talk about that. I think they do feel that way, but they're not willing to say that out loud. And so, and instead of being disappointed in myself for not being where I wanted to be, and I can't speak for yourself, I can only speak for myself. I am literally just going to say to myself, of all the accomplishments I have done and what it actually taken me to get to this point, because a lot of people don't have to rebuild yourself as a human being first before you can actually have a career. So, I mean, like, I have to give myself a little bit of, a breath.
Some grace.
Yeah. So, okay. So we understand that you wanted to have a new name, and you wanted the name to be distinct so that you could have this, platform for yourself. But of finding the name, how did you find the name? And second question to that is, how was your response to knowing that was what the world's going to start calling you?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, and I need to say that we experience things on 2 levels, right? Emotionally and intellectually. Mm-hmm. So intellectually, 50 is fine. I mean, it's only the middle, and tons of people get lots done in their 70s, 80s, 90s even. And so I mean, my grandmother was 92 and doing everything. So, like, it just hit me bad. Okay. And the thing about my music is, because I didn't set out to be a songwriter, I never thought that was something I would ever do, is that my songs come and rescue me. Like, I don't have the mom that a lot of people have to grab you up in your arms, but my songs grab me up in their arms. And so I'll Be Better When I'm Older came about. And I couldn't see tossing this song that had done so much for me, that I thought could do so much for other people, I'll Be Better When I'm Older, all about seasons. And I needed it to be findable. I needed it to not get buried under Tori Kelley's music and the algorithm. So we were actually on a road trip with my kids and my husband, and I was like, I love our family name. I love being the Kelleys. I don't want to change that. I said, but for my art, I've got to come up with something else. I just have to. I can't be Tori Kelley anymore. I'm tired of being buried, hidden, unseen, helpless, powerless, all those childhood words that are just continuing to find a way to play themselves out in my current day. And I was like, enough.
All right, I want to stop you for 1 second, though, really quickly.
Okay.
So you were in the car with your family.
Yes, and I wanted them to help me come up with a new name.
did you feel like it was almost like a betrayal to them that you were going to not be a Kelley in the world as the
no, because no, I mean, all artists do it. Artists do it. Like, look at Pink. Pink was not born pink, but she's fantastic. What?
It kind of felt like you made an apology to them, like you were like, I love our name, but this, as an artist, this is what I need to do for me, and I think that that's okay. I don't see anything wrong with that, and I don't think it was a betrayal of any sorts whatsoever. How do you feel about that, Cath? What are you thinking? How are you hearing that when she said that to you?
Yeah, I think it was really good to make that distinction, to explain that I am not going to make the same boundary with you that I made with my parents. That's what I'm hearing. I love
I
you.
wanted
I'm
them.
still a Kelley. I'll
Yes.
always be a Kelley, but I have this life, this professional life. It's like I said to my husband, I'm a Rathbone for all my whatever creative stuff I do, because that's the essence of me, that I married you. That doesn't mean I married you less.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
And I wanted them to know that, I mean, those are my people. Those are my most
Of
important
course.
people, you know? And
Exactly.
yeah, and I
Exactly.
wasn't separating myself from them. And those are really good points that you both made, because yes, I didn't think of it at the time, but I did want them to know I'm not separating from you
No.
like I've
Yeah.
separated from others.
Got that.
I'm separating my art only for one purpose, so it can be found,
Yeah.
and so it can be seen. And I
Because we
think that's
live
the
in the
difference.
world of
Is I'm
technology,
ready
we
to
live in the
be
world of
seen.
AI, we live in the world of crawlers. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say something, because you're not getting to the name, and I want to get to the name. And if
Okay.
nobody picked up on this as you've listened to this episode, she is nothing but bright. Bright as in smart, and bright as in jolly and happy and positive. And she's all bright. You get that? She's all of those things. And if the bee is silent, she's all right,
Oh,
which has
I
made
love that.
such a
Yeah.
difference in her life,
I didn't even think of that, Cath.
right?
Wow.
Wow. I only thought of it as in terms of sunny.
Sunny.
So thank
Yep.
you for that more comprehensive definition.
I do
I
want to tell
appreciate
you,
that.
I do want to talk about too that, I mean, and I don't know if you feel this way, Cath, but like this is how it's presented in my, I mean, I even wear NC Murphy on my bracelet because I just remind myself of who I actually am. And it's an empowering feeling when you take ownership of your name, a name you've given yourself, especially for a name that's going to be used as a tool. So like, you know,
Yes.
and Tori Allbright isn't just because you're running away from your life or you just want to change your name. This is a tool that you are going to use and utilize, but it's also a persona that you can actually take on. So
it feels very natural.
Yeah.
Yes, it feels very natural. And I what I really love about Albright is yes, it's cheery and it's sunny and it's like all ALL, like all the time, bright. Because I really feel like what we don't talk about as people is that, you know, when you go on social media, if you go on at Tori Allbright, it will show a very happy, wonderful, all kinds of, look at this, I can do this, and I'm happy, and here we go. But life is not always bright. Like, you can stay who you are, you can stay Allbright in your heart, but you are going to cry. You are going to hurt.
Yeah.
You are going to be pushed to the limit to where you think you will break. But you can still hold that brightness inside of you. And I love that you have a bracelet. I have a heart. I bought this for myself on my 50th birthday. I'll just it's just a tiny little heart, and it reminds me to love myself and to do the things that I need to do to take care of me. And so it's my little talisman that just reminds me, you know, oh, you haven't eaten. Go get something to eat, you know, it's late, you should go to bed now. The things that, you know, your parents usually instill in you that I just didn't get. And so I'm reparenting myself, and Tori Allbright feels like the natural segue of being the full grown adult woman who has learned how to take care of herself and who has learned how to stand out and be seen in the world.
Not only stand out, but stand up for yourself. You've advocated for yourself. And what I want to bring to the table right now is that as women, we usually step into a role, we take our husband's name for the most part. That is changing a lot nowadays. And that sort of pushes out certain things. Yeah. So to advocate for ourselves is so much more. And about ages, I was 64 and I never had anything really done, you know? And there is no need for the number to frighten us. We are women, we are powerful, and as the years go by, we learn to connect and stay close to other women who are strong, who can hold us up.
Yes.
And it was such a pleasure to invite you, Tori, to this Tuesday conversation because we felt that this would bring something to our viewers, something that's real. They may be going through the same or similar things. They may be considering a name change or having a pen name. And we have somehow, in this sort of rather beautifully emotional, raw conversation, given them a few pinpointers of what's important for life, for our career as women, for our role as mothers, and as role models to younger women.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I was just going to say, sorry, go ahead, Nic, go ahead.
No, I wanted to give you space to have a conversation, but I was going to say that, I know how much time and effort you put into picking your pen name. And I know that was the same case for me. And I know Cath probably went through the exact same situation with her own self. And I think that there needs to be understanding with a lot of writers that it's not flippant. It's not a flippant decision to have a pen name. Like people are like, I belong to a group called Submission on Submission. And a lot of times they're talking about like, oh, I think I'm thinking about a pen name. And I'm like, I always want to say to them, it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy to decide this for yourself, because this is how the world is going to know you. This is how you are presenting yourself. And I know that you are like me, where we like to say that we don't care what people think of us, but I really do care what people think of me.
Of course.
And
of course we do.
And I don't want to be judged as flippant. I don't want to be judged as like, oh, she just picked that for whatever reason. There was definite reasons. I know your reasons. I understand your reasons. I believe in your reasons. And I will say to you that the thing that I did for myself when I picked NC Murphy and I decided that's who she's going to be and that's who's going to be the writer and represent me, is I went to the beach and I threw myself in and I gave myself a baptism.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
No, and awesome. I'm gonna cry because it really felt that way. I floated in the water and I gave myself to God and I said, this is who I am. I am NC Murphy. And I'm going to be the tool and instrument of the world for you, and work through me.
Oh, Nic, I did not know. After all these years, I never knew that story.
Yeah,
and how
it's going in the memoir. It's going in the memoir, Cath.
Okay. Can't wait to get back to that. The fact that both of you went to the ocean, both of you went to the side of the water. That is how powerful water is. I mean, we are 70% water.
Well, I'm a water sign. I'm July, so that's my. I'm very much ruled by the water.
So am I. I'm Aquarius. So
yeah.
And you know what? We have tipped the clock 3 times.
I know.
And
like
way over. Tori said,
our Tuesdays are usually 5 minutes.
We could talk about this forever.
Oh, absolutely.
But we won't today. I think this conversation has been extraordinary, genuine, caring, thoughtful, kind, uplifting. It's been allowing. It's allowed us to cry. It's allowed us to laugh. It's allowed us to reminisce. It's allowed us to have a glimpse of the future. So, Tori, thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Thank you. Both of you. I love you both so much, and I really appreciate you having me on here. It was really nice to go through a big transition and have a place to come and talk about it with with people that I know care about me and are just wonderful people. You guys are awesome. So thank you very much for having me.
And we are not alone.
Looking forward to having another open mic soon, right, Cath, with Tori Allbright as a singer on our open mic soon.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think probably the next open mic will be soon.
Writer friends, I really hope that you took away something about, you know, what it takes to actually create a pen name and to have a pen name. And that, you know, when you do, if you do decide to have a pen name, that it, you know, it won't take ownership of you. You get to have ownership of it. And that is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself as a writer, as a person, as a human being. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to explore that conversation. A lot of writers don't get to talk about this. So thank you so much, Cath.
You're not alone. You're not alone. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Yes. Love you, writer friends.
Bye.